Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
The fluorescent lights of Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport buzzed overhead like angry wasps as I wheeled my single suitcase through Terminal D. 5 years. 5 goddamn years in Singapore. And not one member of my family could be bothered to pick me up. The arrivals board flickered with destinations I'd rather be heading to instead of this suburban nightmare I once called home. My phone had been silent during the 14-hour flight. No welcome back texts, no can't wait to see you messages. Just the automated notification from my rideshare app confirming the pickup location. The Uber driver, a chatty guy named Ahmed, tried to make conversation during the 40-minute drive to Plano. Business or pleasure? He asked, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. Family reunion, I replied, watching the familiar strip malls and chain restaurants blur past the window. Though I'm starting to wonder if there's a difference. My childhood home looked exactly the same. Same beige brick facade, same perfectly manicured lawn that my father obsessed over every weekend. Same white picket fence that was supposed to represent the American dream. Cars lined the driveway and street, my sister's Honda, my cousin's beat-up Ford, my uncle's pristine Cadillac. The whole clan was here for Thanksgiving week. I paid Ahmed and stood on the sidewalk for a moment, gathering courage I didn't know I needed. Through the front window, I could see them moving around inside, laughing, talking, living their lives without the black sheep who'd fled to Southeast Asia half a decade ago. The front door wasn't locked. It never was during family gatherings. I stepped inside, dragging my suitcase behind me, and was immediately hit by the familiar smell of my mother's cooking, mixed with my uncle's cologne, and the lingering scent of my father's pipe tobacco. Well, well, well. The voice belonged to my Aunt Patricia, my mother's sister, who appeared in the hallway like a bad omen in a floral dress. So you finally decided to show your face. The conversation in the living room died. Heads turned. My mother emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron, her expression somewhere between surprise and annoyance. "Jason," she said flatly, "you made it." "Hello, Mom." I set down my suitcase. "Sorry I'm late. Flight got delayed in Tokyo." My sister Rebecca appeared with her husband and 2 kids in tow. "Hey, stranger," she said, but there was no warmth in it, more like acknowledging an unwelcome door-to-door salesman. "Where should I put my stuff?" I asked, looking around at the assembled family members who were staring at me like I'd just crashed their private party. "Oh," my mother's face flushed slightly. "Well, we've been using your old room for storage. I suppose you could sleep on the couch?" Behind her, I heard my cousin Danny whisper to his girlfriend, loud enough for me to hear, "Deadweight's back." The girlfriend giggled. My uncle chuckled. Even my father, seated in his recliner with a beer, shook his head with what looked like disappointment. But it was my mother's response that really drove the knife home. She leaned over to Patricia and muttered, just within earshot, "We should have just lied about him dying from corona. Would have saved everyone the trouble." The room went quiet. Even the kids stopped their chatter. Everyone heard it. Everyone saw my face. And everyone waited to see what the prodigal son would do. I smiled. Not a bitter smile or a hurt smile, but a genuine, peaceful smile that seemed to confuse them more than anger would have. "Don't worry," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I won't make this mistake again." They laughed. Actually laughed. Patricia snorted. Danny shook his head. Rebecca rolled her eyes. They dismissed it as another empty threat from the family failure who'd run away once before, and would probably run away again. If only they knew what I'd built during those 5 years away. If only they'd bothered to ask. Thanksgiving dinner was served at 4 o'clock sharp, just like always. The dining room table, extended with 2 card tables, seated 12 people comfortably. I got the folding chair positioned between the kitchen door and the wall, where I'd have to stand up every time someone needed to get past me. "Jason, you can wait until everyone else gets their plates," my mother announced as the family lined up at the buffet she'd arranged on the kitchen counter. "There might not be enough turkey if everyone takes the portions they want." I watched my family pile their plates high with turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and cranberry sauce. My nephew, all of 8 years old, got a full plate. I got the scraps after everyone had gone back for seconds. The conversation flowed around me like I wasn't there. Danny talked about his new job at the auto dealership. Rebecca discussed her kids' soccer schedules. My uncle complained about his property taxes. My father pontificated about politics, while my mother fussed over everyone's drinks. Remember when Jason thought he was going to be some big shot computer programmer? Patricia said during dessert, which I also waited to receive until last. What was it you were studying? Computer science. Software architecture, I corrected quietly. Right, and then you just disappeared, ran off to China or something. Singapore. And I didn't run off. I got a job offer. Sure you did, honey. She patted my hand condescendingly. Well, we're just glad you finally came to your senses and came home. Maybe you can find something local now. Danny's dealership might be hiring. Danny looked up from his pie. We're looking for a lot of attendants. Minimum wage, but it's honest work. More laughter. More dismissive glances. More casual cruelty disguised as family concern. After dinner, while the men watched football and the women gossiped in the kitchen, I was assigned dish duty. Alone. 3 hours of scrubbing plates, pots, and serving dishes while listening to my family's voices drift in from the other rooms. He looks terrible, I heard Rebecca say. Skinny, pale. I bet he's been living in some awful apartment eating ramen noodles. I'm just glad he's back, my mother replied. Even if he is, well, at least he's family. Dead weight, Patricia added. But you're right. Family is family. That night, I lay on the couch in the living room, staring at the ceiling and listening to the house settle around me. My suitcase sat in the corner, still packed, except for my toiletries and one change of clothes. I'd traveled light, thinking I'd only be staying a few days. I was right about that, just not in the way I'd originally planned. At midnight, I got up and walked quietly to what used to be my bedroom. The door was closed, but I could see light coming from underneath. I knocked softly. Come in, my mother called. The room was packed floor to ceiling with storage boxes, Christmas decorations, and old furniture. My twin bed was buried under plastic bins full of Rebecca's old clothes that she was saving for when the kids grow up. My desk had become a wrapping station, covered with rolls of paper and ribbon. I was looking for somewhere to charge my phone, I lied. Oh, there's an outlet behind those boxes somewhere. She was sitting on a folding chair, wrapping presents. I'm sorry about the mess. We just didn't think... you never said you were coming back. I called last week. Left a voicemail. Did you? I don't remember getting it. She kept wrapping, not looking at me. Well, you're here now. That's what matters. I moved a few boxes and found the outlet. While my phone charged, I helped her wrap presents in silence. After 20 minutes, she finally spoke again. Your father and I are proud of you for trying, Jason. We really are. But maybe it's time to be realistic about your limitations. You're 38 years old. You can't keep chasing these fantasies about being some big success. There's no shame in a simple life. I finished taping the corners of a gift box. What if I told you the fantasies came true? She laughed. The same dismissive laugh I'd been hearing for 2 days. Oh, honey. I love your optimism, I really do. But look at you. You're back home, sleeping on our couch, with one suitcase to your name. That doesn't exactly scream success. I nodded, handed her the wrapped box, and retrieved my phone. You're right, Mom. Thanks for the reality check. Back on the couch, I opened my banking app and stared at the numbers on the screen. My checking account balance, $847,000. My investment portfolio, $3.2 million. My Singapore retirement fund, $1.8 million. My stock options from the fintech startup I'd helped build, valued at approximately $12 million, vesting over the next 3 years. The dead weight was worth more than the entire extended family combined. And not one of them had bothered to ask. Friday morning, I woke up to an empty house. My family had gone Black Friday shopping without inviting me. There was a note on the kitchen counter. Jason, help yourself to leftovers. Back this evening. Mom. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, looking out at the backyard where I'd played as a child. The swing set was gone, replaced by my father's workshop shed. The sandbox had become a flower garden. Every trace of my childhood had been erased and replaced with something more useful. My laptop was in my suitcase, along with my work files and financial documents. I'd brought them thinking I might need to handle some business while I was home. Now I opened the laptop and began making different kinds of plans. First, I researched local real estate. A nice 3-bedroom house in a good school district, $400,000. Well within my budget for a cash purchase. Next, I looked up my family's financial situations. It's amazing what you can find with public records and social media. My uncle's medical bills from his heart surgery last year, $180,000, mostly uncovered by insurance. Danny's student loans, $45,000, currently in forbearance. Rebecca's mortgage, underwater by about $30,000. My parents' retirement savings, virtually non-existent. Then I did something I'd never done before. I traced the anonymous payments I'd been making for the past 3 years. The monthly $2,000 that helped my uncle cover his medical expenses. The $800 that helped Danny make his loan payments. The $1,500 that kept Rebecca's family afloat when her husband lost his job. The $3,000 that supplemented my parents' Social Security so they could keep the house. All of it had been flowing from my Singapore accounts through a series of shell companies and legal trusts. All of it had been keeping my family comfortable, while they mocked my failure and celebrated my absence. The money had been my way of staying connected, of showing love without having to endure their judgment. They thought they were self-sufficient. They had no idea their lifestyle was subsidized by the family disappointment living halfway around the world. I opened a new browser tab and began drafting emails to the financial management company that handled the transfers. By the time my family returned from their shopping trip, laden with bags and chattering about the deals they'd found, I'd canceled every automated payment. "How was your day, honey?" my mother asked, setting down her shopping bags. "Did you find anything to keep yourself busy?" "I did some financial planning," I said truthfully. "Oh, that's good. It's never too early to start thinking about your future. Maybe you should talk to your father about setting up a savings account." I almost laughed. Instead, I helped them carry in their purchases and listened to them discuss their plans for the weekend. A family movie night, board games, maybe a trip to the local Christmas market. "You're welcome to join us," Rebecca said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "If you want." "That's very kind," I replied, "but I think I'll be leaving tomorrow." The room went quiet. My mother stopped unpacking her bags. "Leaving?" she said. "But you just got here. I thought you were staying through the weekend." "I was, but I've realized this was a mistake. You were right, Mom. I need to be realistic about my limitations." Patricia, who'd been examining a new sweater, looked up with interest. "Finally coming to your senses, are you? About time. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to go back to Singapore and accept a promotion I've been offered. Regional Director of Southeast Asian Operations. It comes with a pretty significant salary increase and a relocation bonus." More dismissive laughter. Danny actually snorted. "Singapore again?" my father said from his recliner. "Son, you can't keep running away from your problems. At some point, you need to face reality." "You're absolutely right, Dad. That's exactly what I'm going to do." I woke up at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning. The house was silent, my family deep in sleep after their evening of board games and bonding. I'd participated for a few hours, playing Monopoly and losing badly, while they made jokes about my business sense. My suitcase was packed in 10 minutes. I'd never really unpacked it. I left no note this time. No explanation, no goodbye, no forwarding address. I simply called another Uber, slipped out the front door, and disappeared into the pre-dawn darkness. The driver, a different guy this time, was mercifully quiet during the ride to the airport. I caught the 7 a.m. flight to Los Angeles, then the 11 a.m. flight to Singapore. First class both ways, using miles I'd accumulated from 5 years of international business travel. As the plane lifted off from LAX, I turned on my phone's airplane mode and opened my contacts. One by one, I blocked every family member's number. Then I deleted my Facebook account, my Instagram, my LinkedIn profile, and every other social media presence that might allow them to track me down. By the time I landed in Singapore 18 hours later, I had effectively erased myself from their lives. My apartment in Marina Bay was exactly as I'd left it: clean, modern, with a view of the harbor that cost more per month than my family's mortgage payment. I made a cup of coffee, sat on my balcony, and watched the sunrise paint the water gold and orange. My phone stayed silent because I'd built it that way. 3 days later, I started getting emails at my work address. My mother had somehow found it online. "Jason, we're worried about you. Please call home." I deleted it without responding. A week later, another email. "Your father is asking about you. We don't understand why you left so suddenly. Delete." 2 weeks. Patricia thinks
It was one time at the company retreat.
Your coworker posted a photo. You're wearing this shirt.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
we may have hurt your feelings. That wasn't our intention. You know how family can be. Delete. A month. "Jason, this is ridiculous. We're your family. Whatever we did, we can work it out. Delete." 6 weeks after Thanksgiving, my uncle's cardiologist called to inform him that his payment assistance program had been discontinued. The monthly $2,000 that had been covering his medication and follow-up appointments was simply gone, with no explanation from the financial services company that had been administering it. I know this because my uncle's wife posted about it on Facebook, asking if anyone knew about mysterious medical assistance programs and whether they could be restored. The post was desperate, panicked. They'd been counting on that money. Danny's student loan forbearance ended around the same time. The $800 monthly payments he couldn't afford resumed with interest. His credit score began to plummet. Rebecca's husband called in sick too many days and lost his new job. The $1,500 that had been quietly supplementing their income vanished simultaneously, leaving them scrambling to cover their mortgage and car payments. My parents' pension supplement evaporated without warning. The $3,000 monthly payment they'd assumed was some kind of Social Security bonus turned out to be something else entirely, something that could disappear as mysteriously as it had appeared. By February, the family was in crisis mode. I watched it unfold through social media posts and public records, a slow-motion financial collapse that they couldn't understand or explain. My mother's emails became more frequent and more desperate. "Jason, we need to talk. There have been some financial complications. Please call home. Your father thinks you might know something about some payments we've been receiving. We hired an accountant to trace some money transfers. Your name came up. We need answers." I didn't respond to any of them, but I did start planning my return. Not to reconcile, not to forgive, but to watch them realize exactly what they'd lost when they decided I was deadweight. In March, my family's accountant finally traced the shell companies and financial trusts back to their source. It took him 3 months and probably cost them more than they could afford, but he eventually connected the dots between their mysterious benefactor and the family member they'd wished dead. My mother's email that day was different from the others. "We know it was you. We know you were helping us. Why didn't you tell us? Why did you stop? Please, we need to talk." I responded to that one. A single line. "You wished I was dead. Consider this the funeral." 2 days later, a process server delivered a formal letter to my childhood home. I'd had it prepared by a law firm in Dallas, notarized and legally binding. The letter was one page, typed on official letterhead, "To the Fairburn family. You have repeatedly expressed the wish that I was dead, most recently suggesting that you should have lied about me dying from corona. Rather than endure my presence at your Thanksgiving celebration, I am hereby granting your wish. Effective immediately, consider me deceased. I will have no further contact with any member of this family. I will not attend future gatherings, weddings, funerals, or celebrations. I will not provide financial assistance, emergency aid, or emotional support. There will be no inheritance because dead men own nothing. There will be no reconciliation because dead men don't forgive. There will be no second chances because dead men don't change their minds. You wanted me gone. You wanted me erased. You wanted me to be nothing more than an embarrassing story you could tell about the family failure who ran away. Congratulations. You got exactly what you asked for. This is your eulogy. I hope you're satisfied with how it reads. Jason Fairburn, 1986 to 2024. The letter included no return address, no phone number, no way to respond. I'd made sure of that, but I wasn't quite finished yet. In April, I took a leave of absence from my job and flew back to Dallas. Not to visit family, but to buy a house. The 3-bedroom colonial I'd researched months earlier was still on the market, and I made a cash offer $20,000 above asking price. The seller accepted within hours. I furnished it simply but expensively. High-end appliances, comfortable furniture, a home office with the latest technology, everything my family's house wasn't. Then I threw a party. I invited my colleagues from Singapore who happened to be in town for a tech conference. I invited my new neighbors. I invited the real estate agent who'd sold me the house, the contractors who'd done some minor renovations, and the financial advisor who was helping me invest my stock options. I did not invite my family, but I made sure they found out about it. The party was on a Saturday evening in May, catered by an expensive restaurant, with an open bar and live music. Professional photographers documented everything for what I told people was a housewarming portfolio for a design magazine. What I was really creating was evidence, proof of the life I'd built while they assumed I was struggling. Photos of successful, interesting people celebrating with the family failure in his beautiful new home. I posted the photos on a new social media account, one that wasn't blocked from my family's view. The caption read, "So grateful for all the friends who've supported me on this journey. Singapore to Dallas, from deadweight to new beginnings. Hashtag blessed, hashtag new chapter, hashtag family." The post went viral in my family's social circle within hours. My phone started ringing immediately. I didn't answer, but I listened to the voicemails. "Jason, it's Mom. We saw the pictures. Your house is beautiful. We had no idea you were doing so well. Please call us back. This is Rebecca. I don't understand what's happening. How did you afford that house? Why didn't you tell us you were back in Dallas? Jason, it's Dad. We need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding." I saved every voicemail, but didn't respond to any of them. The next morning, they showed up at my house. I was drinking coffee on my back patio when I heard the doorbell ring. Through the security camera system I'd installed, I could see my entire family standing on my front porch, all of them, even the kids. I took my time walking to the door. When I opened it, my mother immediately started crying. "Jason, thank God. We've been so worried. Why haven't you been answering our calls?" "Because dead men don't have phones," I replied calmly. My father pushed forward. "Son, we need to clear the air. There's been a big misunderstanding." "Has there? What exactly did I misunderstand about being called dead weight? What did I misunderstand about being told, you should have lied about me dying from corona?" Patricia, standing behind my parents, had the grace to look ashamed. We were frustrated. We didn't mean those things. You meant every word, and I believed you. So I gave you exactly what you wanted." "But the money," Danny said desperately. "You were helping us all this time. Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I thought you were family. I thought family helped each other without keeping score." I thought wrong. Rebecca stepped forward, her kids hiding behind her. "Jason, we're sorry. We really are. We know we treated you badly. But you're our brother. You're family." "No," I said quietly. "Family doesn't wish each other dead. Family doesn't celebrate each other's absence. Family doesn't mock each other's struggles or dismiss each other's dreams." "So what happens now?" my mother asked through her tears. "Are we supposed to just never see you again?" I looked at each of them. These people who'd shared my childhood and dismissed my adulthood. These people who'd taken my help while mocking my failures. These people who'd wanted me gone until they realized what my absence actually cost them. I'm going to live my life, I said. I'm going to be successful and happy and surrounded by people who actually care about me. I'm going to build the family I should have had. And us? My father asked. You're going to live with the consequences of your choices, just like I've had to live with mine. I stepped back and closed the door. Through the security camera, I watched them stand there for several minutes, talking among themselves, trying to decide what to do next. Eventually, they walked back to their cars and drove away. I never saw them again. 6 months later, I was engaged to Sarah Chen, a brilliant surgeon I'd met through friends in Singapore. She was everything my family wasn't. Kind, supportive, genuinely interested in my thoughts and dreams. When I told her about my family situation, she didn't judge or try to fix it. She just listened and understood. We bought a bigger house together in a better neighborhood. We adopted 2 rescue dogs and started planning our wedding. We talked about having kids someday, about the kind of family we wanted to build together. My career flourished without the emotional drain of managing family drama and secret financial support. I accepted the regional director position and received a promotion within 6 months. My stock options vested ahead of schedule when our startup was acquired by a major tech company. I made new friends through work, through Sarah's medical colleagues, through our neighborhood community. People who knew me as Jason, the successful tech executive, not Jason, the family disappointment. People who celebrated my achievements instead of dismissing them. On Thanksgiving Day, Sarah and I hosted dinner for 12 people. Her parents, who'd flown in from Vancouver, 3 couples from our neighborhood, 2 colleagues from my office and their spouses. Everyone brought something to share, and we spent the evening talking, laughing, and genuinely enjoying each other's company. No one got a folding chair by the kitchen. No one waited to eat until everyone else was finished. No one was called dead weight or made to feel unwelcome. As I carved the turkey, I thought about my biological family. Were they gathered around the same dining room table, wondering about the empty chair that used to hold their black sheep? Were they struggling financially without their mysterious benefactor? Were they finally understanding what they'd thrown away? I hoped they were. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because I wanted them to learn. I wanted them to understand that actions have consequences, that words have power, and that family is something you build through love and respect, not something you're automatically entitled to because of shared DNA. After dinner, as our friends helped clean up and the conversation continued in the living room, Sarah found me standing on our back patio, looking up at the stars. "Regrets?" she asked, slipping her arm around my waist. "None," I said, and meant it completely. The dead weight had finally learned to float, and it felt amazing. 2 years later, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. My niece, Rebecca's oldest daughter, was getting married. The invitation was addressed to Mr. Jason Fairburn and guest, and included a handwritten note. "Uncle Jason, I know things have been complicated with the family, but you're still my uncle, and I'd love to have you at my wedding. Please consider coming. I miss you. Love, Emma." I stared at the invitation for a long time, remembering the little girl who used to sit on my lap during family gatherings, who always seemed to enjoy my jokes, even when the adults rolled their eyes. Sarah found me holding it in my office that evening. "What do you think?" she asked after I explained. "I think Emma is a sweet kid who doesn't deserve to be punished for her family's mistakes," I said. "But I also think attending would send the wrong message to everyone else. What if you sent a gift instead? Something generous that shows you care about her, without having to interact with the rest of them." I smiled. This was why I loved Sarah. She always found the perfect middle ground. I sent Emma a check for $10,000 as a wedding gift, along with a note explaining that while I couldn't attend the ceremony, I wished her all the happiness in the world. I also included my business card with my direct contact information in case she ever wanted to build a relationship separate from the rest of the family. She called me a week after her wedding to thank me. We talked for an hour, and she told me how the family had reacted to my gift. "Grandma cried," Emma said, "not happy tears. She kept saying she didn't understand how everything went so wrong. Do you understand? I asked. I think so. Mom told me some of what happened. About the things people said. About the money you were sending. I'm sorry, Uncle Jason. You didn't deserve that. Thank you for saying that, Emma. It means more than you know. Are you happy now? In your new life? I looked across the room at Sarah, who was reading on the couch with our dogs, curled up beside her. Through the window, I could see our neighbors' kids playing in their backyard, while their parents watched from the deck. Drinks in hand, everyone relaxed and content. I'm very happy, I told my niece. Happier than I ever thought possible. Good. You deserve to be happy. After we hung up, I deleted the contact information for the law firm that had delivered my eulogy letter. I no longer needed the legal barriers I'd constructed. The emotional ones were sufficient. My family had taught me an invaluable lesson about self-worth and boundaries. They'd shown me the difference between being related to people and actually belonging with them. They'd forced me to build a better life by making my old one unbearable. In a twisted way, I was grateful for their cruelty. Without it, I might have spent decades trying to earn their approval instead of finding people who valued me from the start. The deadweight had become an anchor for a ship worth sailing, and that ship was heading toward horizons my old family could never have imagined.